specialist group. So welcome everybody. So this is the specialist group of chemical industry, and we're aiming to change that to also include process industries that are not necessarily working with chemicals. For instance, in the agro industry, not necessarily are working with chemicals, but still are using water and producing wastewater, and therefore we want to open the scope and include as a new name, chemical and process industry. So what are we doing in this agenda? We're going to do a general overview of our aims, and then we are going to have some times to give a personal presentation of the governing members that have been elected. In this case, myself, Suani Mosquera, I'm presenting as the chair of this specialist group, and then Anne Che will present as vice chairs in the area of Asia, and Thomas Track also working as vice chair in Europe. Then we'll have some questions and answers at the end, and we can have this opportunity to also discuss. So first of all, as a general overview, what we aim for and what we ask to, let me see, there is someone joining. Okay. So in our case, this group of chemical and process industry meet 2 times before coming here. And in these 2 times, we make a brainstorming of what really we can focus on, and at the end we end up with this document that are the main objective we want to focus on the group. So when we talk about chemical and process industry, we think about the water resources that are needed, so including water security for the process in the industry, but also we include water reuse, and therefore it's very important to also interconnect with other specialist group. We have a very strong specialist group in water reuse, and our interest is to connect and try to make synergies between the different specialist group. And another objective properly of this specialist group is the water that is used in the process. So we are going to talk about water footprint, the water loss analysis. What is very important is the industrial symbiosis, and I'm going to present something about that today. Also resource recovery, that it can be water or it can be a sludge. And also, apart from just focusing on the need of the water in the process, we also want to see for a zero pollution approach. So it means that the industry can produce some byproducts, it can be sludge, it can be others, and then see if we can just aim to do a closed loop in the industry as well. And this last objective was also proposed, and I included it still because despite this network is for water, Kala also say that it's important to open a bit the scope and try to also tackle other things that are interconnected with water. So we also see that it's important when we talk about industry to talk about the energy, the supply route, and decarbonization of them. So these are what we defined after our 2 meetings of brainstorming of what objective we wanted to aim. And also we decided to which activities we wanted to do. So we decided with these 3, organize training, courses, and webinars between our members that are doing applied research projects. And one of that is what we're going to do today. We're going to present what we're doing. We also want to share the knowledge, news, developments, and the different interactions we have between the members. And as I say, this conference is really nice because we can also share, talk with the chairs of the other specialist group, as here is the chair of the pre-industrial wastewater treatment, wastewater group, and also the chair of the water reuse group. And also we have a long-term aim. We want to do a conference or workshop where we can invite the IWA members, especially for an SG conference, no? That we aim to do it at early 2026. And with this, we also think that it will be nice to connect with the other specialist group for achieving that. So we're still open for collaboration to achieve these group activities because it's a work that we can do together. So according to the elections, this group was, let's say, relaunched at the end of 2023, and this was the elected one, myself as the chair, and then Juan and Shay as co-chair, and Thomas Track over there. Each of us were going to have an opportunity to talk about what we're doing. So I will start with my personal presentations to also meet all of you. So in my case, my bio is that I am the chair of the Young Water Professional in Ecuador. This was a very nice opportunity because in 2019, there was the first conference of IWA in Ecuador. And that conference brings us with the opportunity to found the first chapter in Ecuador. I am also part of the governing members over there. And I decided also to found the Young Water Professional in Ecuador. I am a researcher and a lecturer working in SPOL. I'm going to talk about that later. I'm working in developing wastewater treatment technologies. Sorry for the mistake, I will correct it. I'm a chemical engineer. I'm also had a master in environmental sanitation in Ghent. And 2 years ago, I obtained my PhD in bioscience engineering in chemistry and bioprocesses. I work in a research center that there is in Spanish, but I can say the translation is the Center for Water and Sustainable Development, where we are working in different areas. We're several professors and technicians over there, and I'm focusing mainly in the industrial processes. So what is SPOL for the people who doesn't know too much? Well, first of all, it's a great university. It's #1, as there are several rankings say, in Ecuador, and it's well positioned also in Latin America. And our mission is to create this type of network to promote the good quality of life and sustainable development. And the good thing of our beautiful campus is that it's inside of a protected area. So as you can see in these images, is a dry forest. So that allows us to really do applied research in some areas. And our strategic access over there in SPOL is to do this type of cooperation, internationalization by innovation, worrying about sustainability and digital transformation. We have 9 institutional research centers and different departments and also research group, and we aim to create value for industry and society. This is just a list of the different research centers that we have over there, and then I highlight the one that I belong with and that have connections also with the industry and the society sector. In our research priorities is the interconnection of sustainability and innovation. We also have a very good international collaboration between different universities around the globe, as you can see in this picture. And one important news that I wanted to share with all of you is about this project that started this year with the SPOL, and it is BID, means the Developing Bank, that funded this project that will allow us to really invest in science and the interconnections between the industry and innovation within the ecosystem in Guayaquil. We focus mainly in agro-industry because Ecuador is mainly an agro country, so we focus on that. And we're going to build an important lab over there with BSL3, so we can do also services to the different industries that are working over there. So we have these fundings to articulate academia with business. So I'm presenting that to all of you. If you are interested to cooperate with us, that's our opportunity and the project that is coming on. The last thing I wanted to also share is about that in Ecuador, we have a coalition to sustain the water security. If you want to know more information, you have this QR code that with this coalition, we aim to already get a platform where we are going to compromise ourselves between the academia and the industry to work in the water security in Ecuador. These are the different enterprises that are with us, and I'm going to present some good examples of what we have been done together. So we have enterprises, water funds, where the money comes from, and also the universities that support all of this cooperation, and also NGOs that work with us. So one of the good cooperations that we have between SPOL and an enterprise is Pronaca. Pronaca, it's an enterprise that produces food. You have from the moment that they do agro-industry to our tables. So they have different wastewater treatment plants, biodigester, but the important part is that they also apply the water reuse. And we are cooperating with them because they wanted to also know this water footprint and how to improve that in there. Another cooperation we have is with Holcim. I think Holcim, it is recognized overall. It's a Swiss company. We have Holcim Ecuador. I used to work over there as well, 2 years. And they are really installing this concept of water symbiosis. So what they are doing, they are substituting the fresh water they use for the concrete production. That is, if you don't know too much about the process, it's just a small picture over there where the first part is you get the raw materials, then you do the processes of weighting and dosing, and then you mix it with water. That's step 3. So that water normally comes from fresh water, but now they are trying to collect water from treated wastewater from industries nearby. So with that, they already have cooperations with 2 enterprises, one that is a brewery and another one that is producing the Pepsi, that also I think you all know, the BBC company. So they are collecting around 3,945 cubic meters of non-fresh water consumption. And with that, they already make some comparison of what are the benefits that they are getting there by using these non-fresh water sources. And if you see there in the upper part of this slide, you see that if you save this quantity of water, that is equivalent of 2,391 built houses. And also, if you remember the containers where the mixers transport the concrete, that means that we are making 493 mixers with this cooperation. There's also a statistic of how much people are getting as beneficiaries of this project. And in this last part, you can see a graph where last year, they did not use any non-fresh water. And until this year, that it doesn't end yet, they already increased to 29.9%, which is around 23% of the water that comes from these non-fresh sources. There are other projects that is not too related to industry, but still cooperation between companies as Plasticama Wabin. Wabin is also an international company, and another institution. This is not SPOL, but still I wanted to present the cooperation we have between industries and academics, where the industry cooperate for reusing water, recirculating water in society. As well, Hill, Coca-Cola company inside of Arca Continental, and the funding of water over there in Ecuador are also working in these different areas for the society to promote water resilience. And with that, I will end my personal presentation and the things we are doing over there in Ecuador and SPOL. And then I will open the floor for Anshay to please present himself. And
well, thank you very much, Sonny. It was a very impressive presentation. Can you see me?
Yes, we see you well. Is everything good?
Everything good? Okay. I was asked to make a representation of what I do. And unlike our professor, I am not an academic. I'm actually in the industry itself. So I started life in banking, and I was involved in a couple of transactions with the industries. And one of the companies that I helped to delist from the stock exchange in Singapore is the High Flux Water Trust. This is an unfortunate incident because, as you know, High Flux was a large and rapidly growing desalination player, and they had to sort of divest this very interesting assets with about 28 water plants stationed in China. And as the population grew, the ability to sort out the wastewater, provide drinking water was at its limits, and they were not able to collect the tariffs, leading them to have a lot of cash flow problems. And so I was involved in the team that delisted this company and we sold it to the Japanese investment corporation. And from there, I started a company with a professor from the NTU in Singapore. And ever since, we've been doing this. So we started off with making 3D printed membranes on the flat sheet at the UF and loose UF range. So our fibers were working on a pore size of about 400 nanometers to 180 nanometers. We're hoping to push it to about 90 to 50 nanometers for the UF range. We've deployed them into, I would say, industrial wastewater. So our first client was Micron, a semiconductor company. We had to deal with inorganic fouling, in which the heavy chemicals, particularly fluorides, they harden and they coagulate very poorly. And so they just flow. And in the end, the plant had to be shut down because of very severe fouling. So in the process of studying fouling, we discovered that for heavy metals, for fluorides, the pre-treatment is very, very important. So that's how we ended up working on nanomaterials to form, to make better coagulation and better flocculation agents. So all these flocculants, coagulants work in a very mysterious way because semiconductor waters have copper, they have fluorides, sometimes they have zirconium, sometimes they have gallium, and a lot of silicates. Now, as you know, silicates cut off hollow fiber membranes, and that is a serious problem. And with the use of the flat sheet, we have a better chance of stopping them and ensuring that we meet the discharge standards. So all in all, we spent about 3 years just working on semiconductor wastewater. And along the way, we developed stronger and more powerful polymers that can extract heavy metals and fluorides. And along the way, we then move into what is known as a very high COD. So the plant that you see on the top in the picture is something that we're building for the Hong Kong government. This is a plant together with Keppel Seegers. Seegers was a European company acquired by Keppel, and also with the Chinese state-owned enterprise called China Harbour. So they do a lot of civil works. So in this plant, we are treating about 800 tons of leachate every day, and that's the bulk of the waste material coming from Hong Kong. So I'll be quite happy to host our IWA members, our group, once this plant goes into life. We're currently in the process of construction and putting it up. Had to clear this company, the consulting company called AECOM, which is really painful because every liter calculation has to be made. The plant below is in Singapore. This one, we deal with COD as high as 60,000. And to meet discharge standards, you've got to bring it to about 600. So we're looking at a 99% removal most of the time. And the reason we move in is because a European company called Kulina from the UK, and this client is a British multinational in Singapore, they brought in a system to try to treat the wastewater, which is principally alkoxylates. Now, as you know, the water is a salt water, and the technology that was at first employed was based on electrocoagulation. Now, in soft water, and you don't have all that hardness, it's actually very difficult to separate the ions. So consequently, the supplier before us underestimated the nature of the feed water and underestimated the importance of hardness, particularly if they're using electrocoagulation. So I spent 3 days on site and studied the whole system back and forth. And then when I presented the plan, the client said, the first project has failed from another supplier. And he spent the last 6 months explaining to the London headquarters why the failures occurred. And he said that, why don't you put in the money, invest in the capex, and then run the plant, and if it's stable after a year will buy it from you. So I had to overcome financing problems. And I think for the purpose of our group, if there are projects that requires some degree of the engineering as well as the financial engineering, I'm more than happy to provide support, not just with the technical solutions, but also to find ways to solve it. So in the end, we put in the money and the plan worked. And a year later, the client bought the whole system from us. So these are just two of the plants that I've worked on. One is the high COD from Hong Kong Leachit, and this one below is an industrial toxic water discharge. So right now, because of the success, we are now going to phase 2, which is like 3 times the size of this plant. So these are just 2 of the plants that are working. And as we speak, I'm working on 5 other plants scattered across parts of Asia. So happy to talk about that. And in terms of, supporting our chairman, I'm delighted to know that she's got all these academic linkages globally. And so on this side of the Pacific, I'm quite happy to connect and provide the support. And so that access is there. And as we speak, there are 2 water companies that are treating water. They've contacted me to try to provide a more efficient and energy efficient desalination solution. So this would be in the Middle East. And so if we can understand the requirements better, I'm more than happy to bring that information to the group. But in their case, principally is a desalination challenge at a lower energy cost. So with that, I explained my background. And in terms of engineering, I started my studies in the United Kingdom at a small university. And then subsequently, years later, I went to the US in MIT, in which I became a Sloan Fellow. Okay, so sorry, Chairman, I don't have a PhD like you.
No, it's very good. That's, as you say, it's important to also know each other, to foment cooperation as we are doing over here. So thank you very much, AC. And I would like, because of the time, to move to the other presentation, which is Thomas Track, that's come from Germany. And as I say, please try to keep it in around 15 minutes max to finish the presentation on time. So Thomas, thank you.
Right, Sonny, thank you very much. Before I'll start, there is a question in the chat for AC about focus on private-public partnership. AC, maybe you can directly answer to Subishu on his question. Well, now
thank you. Thank you very much, Thomas. Yeah, at the end, we're going to have some Q&A answer. And as I'm sharing completely my screen, if I click, everyone see the question. So I will wait for a bit and I will let you to talk. Thanks, Thomas.
Okay. All right. So welcome, everybody. We now had the introduction from academic representative and from a pure industrial representative. And now it's me. And so I'm in the interface. So I'm Thomas Track. I'm working for DEKEMA in Frankfurt, Germany, and we are a technology-focused private not-for-profit organization on the interface between applied research and industry in the fields of industrial water management, chemical technology, bioeconomy, pharma industry, energy, climate, and raw materials. So you see, when we see the specialist group, chemical and process industry, so we cover it in a broad range. Just in quick words about me, well, of course, I think that as all of us, I'm passionate about water, and I'm working in the field now for much more than 25, even more than 30 years at the moment, with a quite close professional network with water experts in the chemical and process industries. And so they are, let's say, international, like due to the engagement in IWA. I'm also engaged in the pretreatment specialist group, where I unfortunately missed on Monday the specialist group meeting, but I'm also in a close relation with the water reuse specialist group. And when I say the chair is here, if I'm still right, it might still be Josef Lahnsteiner. So Josef, if it's you, then a warm welcome also from my side. Otherwise, also to the follow-up leader of this group. But as I said, well connected. Also, let's say on the European level, in both directions, in the water sector, but also in the chemical sector. In Europe, it's like Water Europe. It's an organization located in Brussels, and they have under focus, let's say, bringing water aspects, water issues higher on the agenda to the European Commission in terms of the policies, politics, but also to research programs. The same also then accounts for networks on the chemical side, like SASCHEM for sustainable chemistry. On the national level, there are several ones. One is, for example, the German Water Partnership, which is focusing on solution providers. As you might know, in Germany, we have very strong landscape and a very strong group of small and medium-sized enterprises, especially in the water sector, that provide solutions for industrial, municipal, and agricultural water challenges. Therefore, German Water Partnership is there, but also then, let's say, various German networks that focus on water supply, wastewater management, and water resources management. From my side, myself, so from my education, I'm coming from the water resources management side and was always passionate about connecting between all water users. So at the moment, since I'm at DEKEMA, which is now for 25 years, so I was leading and participating in more than 20 applied research projects in the water and industrial water sector. So that means always focused on at least demonstrating solutions on site and industrial sites, always focusing in development scales up to TRL 5 to 7. Well, the 25 plus years I already mentioned. And as for us at DEKEMA, let's say the communication with all types of stakeholders that are involved in our topics is key and very important. I've also, let's say, a strong track record in scientific technical conferences in the water sector. So till now I've organized around 50 plus conferences in this sector, participating in them. So, well, sorry, the next slide. Just to show you a little bit some topics that already have been mentioned partly. So it's like water management for new solutions, hydrogen projects, applications, optimizing water use in process industries, cost aspects, digitalization, and let's say in general, boosting innovation at the interface between process industries and the water management. In the preparation of this meeting, we decided to give some insight in the regions we represent. So Suani and AC have done that already, and I'll do that also then with the next slides. So you see here a picture I've taken from the Water Risk Atlas, and what I've tried to line out here is to show you some hotspots where we see process industries being located. And what you can see is, and what is getting crystal clear is that many of them are really located in regions where we have a certain, let's say, water risk in terms of water stress. So this is mainly physical risks in terms of water availability, but that also feeds into water ability in terms of quality requirements in there. And so this is an issue where we see and think that water and industry, process industry, so that means broader than just the chemical industry, is an important issue. And I think on the next slide, that is also getting a little bit clearer. If we just look to the quality, then it doesn't look as harsh as we've seen that just for the quantity. But nevertheless, when we talk about quality, we have always in the coastal regions, and we all are aware that maybe despite some sites in Germany, in many European, but also other international countries, we have the big chemical and process industry players in coastal regions. For example, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, in Spain, in France, but then also in when we look outside Europe, in many other countries. So that means we have there always the conflict be of a strong industrial water use, industrial water need, usually combined with a strong population growth and a strong urban development in the coastal regions. And when we see the seawater issue, AC already mentioned, we also have there then the quality issue due to desalination or the risk of salinating our freshwater resources in groundwater. Well, having a little closer look to Europe, so just to give you an idea where we are standing in Europe, so it's not too easy to find really reliable numbers, and the UN Nations World Water Development Report in 2023 gives roughly a range of about something like the average about 45% water use in industry, then some 30% in agriculture and 25% in municipalities. But this is highly fluctuating and varying also across Europe. But also just to give you an idea, I think in Europe we are a region where industry has a strong, or is a strong player, a strong actor in the water management, in the water use when we talk about water resources management. So if you move forward then to the next slide. So what does it mean for industry, for process industry and chemical industry? That's true for Europe, but I think also for other regions in the world. We have mainly three fields of risks and challenges: physical, regulatory, and strategic. Well, the physical is it's obvious. We have water quantity issues. On the one hand side, in the availability due to water stress, that means competing water uses. So what's what I, for example, just mentioned in the coastal regions, but also then that's especially something we see at the moment, or in the past years, where it's strong also in Germany due to extreme events, droughts and floods. Droughts is obvious, it's clear. So, well, if we have droughts, so water levels are thinking in the surface waters, we have less groundwater available, but also the floods pose a severe problem, not only to the infrastructure, but also kind of quality problems for our water resources. And water quality is, of course, also the other issue already mentioned. So we have the salinity issue in the coastal regions, but also the pollution aspects, for example, at the moment, also micropollutant issues like PFAS and other things. And industry, of course, has to comply with regulations in their production, also in the management of water and wastewater, as otherwise we come to the second point, the regulatory problem. So we have there various fields like, let's say, with compliance with discharge limits and so on, but also constraints on abstraction. So competition and permissions. So, for example, we have in Germany, we have a national water strategy that gives a clear priority to municipal water supply, and then agriculture and industry coming later. That means in terms of water shortage, industry will have to cope with less water available. So that's also a regulatory issue. And due to that, also due to climate change, let's say permissions to abstract waters are more limited, more restricted, and that's an issue that we also see in other areas. We have some regulatory issues or risks in terms of water price and also reporting requirements. For example, sustainability reporting directives and all various things that need to be fulfilled where water is getting more and more into focus. And strategically, water is important to secure production capacities. So if you're, let's say, in a water-stressed area, it's not easy to increase your production capacities. You have to cope with the water you have available. And if you do investments in the chemical and process industry sector, we are usually talking about investment ranges or timeframes of 20, 30, 40, or maybe sometimes even more years. If you, for example, think about crackers that are somewhere installed, so you can imagine that they are not depreciated in 20 or 30 years. So it's also a strategic issue for securing investment decisions to keep the freedom to operate on a site. And it's also something for portfolio management to come up with new developments. I'll come to that a little bit later. And last but not least, so strategic, if there are some accidents or things, or let's say overuse of water resources that could put in a negative image in media, which also could have then, if it's a company that has a strong also public perception, then could create also problems in the business. So then, with the next slide, yeah, this is the point. If you just click back once again to the slide before, the issue with the three things is we have these three risks and challenges, but they also allow us or enable us to turn these challenges into opportunities. Well, just to enlighten a little bit what water means for process industry, water as such has a certain value. And this has been shown on this slide. So you have to, this slide is animated, you have to click at least once. Yeah. So we have let's say the root of the water due to production from the extraction from the resource. So the upgrading, the use afterwards, the treatment, and then releasing the water. And every step is costly. Every step costs money. And that's what you see on the next slide. So that means at the end, when we discharge water to a river or to a natural water resource, so each cubic meter of water has a package of costs it carries with it. And of course, this is then something, that's an example from a colleague from Evonik. He presented that in 2018 at one of our conferences that we also did together with IWA at Deckermann Frankfurt. You see, so there are certain costs in there. And of course, it's clear. So why just discharging the water? Why not doing something with it? Of course, many already do. Water reuse and let's say cascade use. So, but that's again something to show you that wastewater is not just a burden, but that wastewater, treated wastewater, also has a kind of value that needs to be considered when we talk about strategic water management in chemical and process industry. So then you can move forward to the next slide. Well, and in principle for the industrial development, well, you can click a little bit further than that all the points come up. There should be a few more. Yes, so this should be the last one. Well, you see that water is a key enabler for process industry. So that means, as said, so if we are water efficient working in process industry with water reuse, for example, so we can reduce the dependency on freshwater resources. Every one of us knows what that means, higher freedom to operate. What it allows us then also to create new business opportunities, increasing production, set up new production lines, for example. It helps us also to anticipate future legislations and policies, again, increasing your freedom to operate. It can provide direct economic benefits, for example, reducing costs for water abstraction, for example, and getting more efficient in water treatment, or for example, Suani mentioned the symbiosis, cooperating with other water users and using water jointly, ensuring your freedom to operate, and of course, the reputational benefits. So all in all, it means water innovation offers for industry, for chemical industry and process industry, but also for other industry sectors, substantial strategic benefits. Well, on the next slide, I think I'm slowly getting to the end of my things. It's just to give you an outlook. So it's like, what do we think about in industry in Europe? So what are the things we have had that are coming up? Well, of course, we are strongly looking for decarbonization. And if we do, let's say, water management, integrated industrial water management, of course, well, we use technologies, we need energy for our industrial water treatment. So in the worst case, we are creating carbon emissions, so that has to be considered. We're strongly moving forward to circular economy approaches internally, externally, bilateral symbiosis. So that's what also Suani has already mentioned. Zero pollution is a big issue in Europe for safeguarding our water resources. Water scarcity, I've already mentioned, and enabling new industrial supply routes, like, for example, the hydrogen economy or power-to-X processes, or even more. What we see in chemical industry is that companies are much more looking forward to replace physical chemical production processes by biotechnological ones. And those of you who are aware of, let's say, biotech, I think many of you are, is, well, where do these systems work? So they are working in some fermentation processes. There are many fermentation processes. They work in aqueous systems. And your ratio water to product phase is quite strong on the water side and quite weak on the process, on the product side. So that means water plays an essential role in here. And many sites have already optimized their water use, optimized the use of their available water resources. So that means if one new industrial player, industrial route, extension of production, or new production processes come in, suddenly there is a new kid on the block, a new player that needs water, and industry needs to cope with that, because as we all know, water is not endless there, so they have to keep with it. So just to give you a little bit of an insight, that water is also, let's say, a strategic issue for industry. And of course, process industry strongly contributes to various SDGs. So Annie mentioned already SDG 17, but there are also several more. SDG 6 is of course clear, but also then others like the resilient infrastructure and industrialization, sustainable consumption, climate action, but also decent work and economic growth. So these are all elements of the sustainable directive goals that process industry or an efficient industrial water management pays into. And so if I'm more or less right, that should it be from my side. I had some, let's say, research slides, but we can skip that. Yeah, so these are just two examples of projects that we were working on or working in, but there's no need to get into that in detail at the moment. Right. So, well, yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thomas, for this nice presentation of the work you are doing, and also to really put as a priority this industrial and process group, because it's important to also connect with that and not only with society. So now I just have a few announcements, and I will read the questions and provide answers with also the management committee that is here connected. So first of all, I would like to announce that we want to do a new elections for specific roles in the management committee. So within the three persons that are already mentioned, they have a specific role in Asia Pacific and Europe, and currently myself as the chair. But we need two important roles to really boost this specialist group. We need a secretary and fundraiser, and also it's very important to maintain ourselves active and communicate the work we are doing. So we also need the networking and communication officers. So probably if you don't, you are not here in the IWA conference, or you were not able to connect online, you can see this recording in the IWA Connect. And if you are interested to work with our specialist group within Thomas, myself, AC and myself, please contact us. We really need these specific roles in the management committee. We are going to post it soon in this year to really confirm the specialist group. And with that, I'm also giving you the contact. I see in some slides, some of you put your contact, but I decided to put it here in the final slide. If you want to know more about the presentation of SPOL, please contact me, or with AC, there is the contact of him, and Thomas Track, that's his contact. We're trying to reactivate the Connect Plus. As I say, in the Connect Plus will be this recording. And I will answer the questions that I have here.